Awesome. We'll go ahead and get started. Let me go ahead and share my screen with everyone. Can everyone see that? Yep. Cool. Yeah, we are going to get started, but Alejandra did put her LinkedIn in the chat for any of you who are interested in connecting. Cool. So welcome everyone. This is our Youth for Justice Summer Institute session 8. It's a little crazy to think that this is our 4th week of meeting twice a week for 2 hours a week, 2 hours each session. So we're super excited. We have some awesome special guests today who are joining us. Real quick, we're going to go over our agenda. So here we go. Oops, that's the wrong thing. Okay. Yeah, so our agenda, that's supposed to say agenda, not table of contents. So sorry about that. But as usual, we have that little kind of 5-minute buffer to allow everyone to hop on. I see that some people are not in their typical place, but thank you so much for still joining us, even though you may not be at home. We're going to have a quick check-in with everyone. Then we're going to go ahead and move into our electeds panel. Again, we do have a few guests joining us today. From there, we will go ahead and move on to a quick break. Then we're looking at some fun things to do. So I found a immigration edition of Kahoot. So we'll go ahead and play that. So if any of you want to download the app, or if not, I'll let you know how you can do it without the app. And then we'll go ahead and close the session for today. Does anyone have any questions before we move on? Awesome. So just a really quick check-in. So as many of you know, Siren is now actively looking for a youth organizer. If you or someone you know is interested in this position, joining the Siren team and helping organize our multiple youth programs, and then some other intergenerational programs, do check out our Instagram. It'll let you know where to submit your resume and cover letter. And then you can go ahead and email if you have any questions, okay? Second part, actually, we're going to have a Youth Fellows application opening tomorrow. So I'll be sending everyone an email about that, and then we'll be posting about it on our Instagram stories. So make sure to look out for that if you're interested. You'll be able to be part of the team that helps put our youth programs on, get some of that experience, some of that training. I know a lot of you are interested and that sort of thing. So that opportunity will be coming up starting tomorrow. Does anyone have any questions about those two things that we just mentioned? Will these be remote? Yeah, so for the youth organizer position, right now Siren is working a little bit hybrid, depending on what the need is of you being in the office. Obviously, some of our services for things like filing and paper, applications or whatever maybe are still working in the office some days. I'm not exactly sure how the youth organizer one will work in terms of whether it's 100% remote or in that hybrid. The youth fellow, our current youth fellows are working 100% remote though. And then part of my job right now, I know, like I mentioned to you all previously, I'm the systems and data analyst at Siren. My job has been for the past month or so figuring out ways that we could move to remote more and more. Is there an age requirement for the youth organizer? I wouldn't say that there's an age requirement, but there is like the expectation that you have a degree of some type. There's no super clear like cutouts because we don't want to push anyone away. We would rather see your experience and your cover letter first before we say yes or no for this or that reason, right? But I wouldn't say there's an age requirement, but it's up to your discretion. For the fellowship, no, you just have to be a part of one of our youth programs, right? So all of you that are here are part of a youth program, so are more than eligible to apply. And I believe for the fellowship, there is a stipend attached to it, but more information will be on the application. Does anyone else have any other questions before we move on? No? Awesome. Okay. Yep. Okay, thank you for letting me know, Jessica. We should be done by then, but okay. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to the first portion of today's agenda or main portion. I'm gonna go ahead and introduce our three guests here today. First off is Jessica Ramos. She's the student director of I think that's the Oakland Unified School District, and a District 4 representative, and is actually part of our youth program. So super, super exciting. I'll let you all introduce yourselves at the next slide, but so let me get through all of these first. Next up is Jewel Hurtado. Correct me if I said that wrong. She's a councilwoman for District 1 in Kingsburg, California. And then we also have Daniel Benalosa, who is a council member for District 1 in Porterville, California. I don't know if Vanessa's on, but as many of you know, the other facilitator for this program is actually from Porterville. So it's super cool that we have someone from Porterville here. Awesome. Moving forward, just to start off, if the three of you would like to introduce yourselves, maybe we'll go in the same order. Start with Jessica, then Jewel, and then Daniel. How does that sound? Cool. So yeah, Jessica, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself? You know, what you do, what your title is, kind of your background a little bit.
Hi everyone, I'm Jessica Ramos. I'm the OUSD student director. What I do basically is I represent over 36,000 students that go to Oakland Unified School District. That's one of my titles. I'm also on the Oakland Youth Advisory Commission, which we basically represent all the youth in Oakland. What challenges did I face, or do you want me to go after everybody?
Yeah, so I'm just gonna have everyone introduce themselves real quick, and then I'm gonna toss questions and whoever, you know, wants to respond. But yeah, thank you for sharing. Yeah, Jewel, if you wouldn't mind.
Hi everyone, my name is Jewel Hurtado. As mentioned, I'm a city councilwoman out in the city of Kingsburg representing District 1. It's a very, very small town. That's, you know, where I grew up and where I decided to run. I have a 2-year-old baby boy. Hi Elizabeth, oh my gosh. I have a 2-year-old baby boy, baby Anthony, super special baby, and I attend Fresno City College. I'm gonna be transferring next fall. So that's me.
Awesome, and Daniel?
Yeah, hello everybody. This is Daniel Peñalosa, and I'm a Portal City Council member for District 1 in Tulare County. Really excited to be here with all of you, especially with Siren, being a close partner of Chirla, which is another immigrant rights organization based in LA. And I was fortunate enough to be an organizer for almost 6 years with them. And so really happy to see the youth engaged in this conversation and to join you all today. So really excited.
Awesome, thank you so much. So just so everyone in the call knows, what we're gonna do is I have just a couple of questions for them to kind of bounce in between. Feel free to answer the questions I go ahead and ask. It doesn't have to be you answer one question. You can answer all of them. So like, let's say Jewel and Jessica want to answer the same question when I ask it. Both of you can feel free. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and get started. At the end, I'll give some time for everyone else to ask some questions in the next slide. Okay. So yeah, so I just wanted to ask you all, you know, why did you run? I think that's a question you probably get a lot, but it'd be really interesting for you to share that. Whoever would like to go first. Jewel, I think you're mute, yeah.
Okay, I was like, Daniel, do you want to go? Jessica, I can answer it first, no problem.
Okay.
So as I mentioned, the city of Kingsburg is a very small town, and there weren't really any issues that were upsetting me that made me want to run. But what did upset me was the fact that the incumbent that I was running against lived on the other side of town, or the other side of the district, and it was kind of gerrymandered. And that really, really upset me because I grew up on the side of town that I live in now and that I now represent. And you know, I learned how to ride my bikes on those same streets that I represent, and I know what roads needs to be fixed or what issues there are different than the other side of town, which was richer area. And so that for me was a really, really big push, because you know, that representation matters. Also, I'm a young woman, and half of our, you know, a Latina, and half of our population is Latino. And so I think it is extremely important for them to be represented on our council as well. So those were two reasons why I ran. And also I mentioned the fact that I have a son, and being able to have a seat at the table and advocate for things for not only my son, but children just like him in my district. So that's why I ran.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I don't know, Daniel or Jessica, if either of you want to go next.
I can go. One of the reasons I actually ran, I'm pretty young, I'm only 17, but I was appointed the year before to be the California Student Board member. Unfortunately, I did not get that position, but my parents are educators. Well, my mom's family and my dad's family were always educators. So I've always wanted to have like to be able to represent student voice. Most of my students, or the students I represent, I have a lot of common with. Like most of my students, or my peers that I actually represent, you know, we're all low income. We all are first generation. I'm a first generation Latina student that's probably going to go to a 4-year college, hopefully. And I want to be able to like bring things into the table, because we always have budget cuts. We always have different things in our schools. We just got the police removed from our schools, which was like the best thing that could happen. But it's like, what can we make these changes to be able to continue on for next generation? So that was my reason to like be able to be the first in my family to be able to like have a elected position. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, and for me, this is Daniel. I think what really, I never imagined that I would be running for city council. It was not on my radar to run, but there was. I remember the day because it was May 1st, 2018. It was International Workers' Day, and usually I would go to LA to the march there, but on that day specifically, there was a city council member who introduced a resolution against SB 54, the sanctuary state law that passed in state California, that makes it more difficult for local law enforcement to collaborate with ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement. And so he introduced a resolution, and there was going to be a vote. So this councilman wanted to opt out of complying with the state law, and he wanted to make it clear that Porterville was not going to stand. Did want to collaborate with ICE and the local. He was supporting that. So many organizations in Tulare County joined together. We had a press conference outside City Hall, and we spoke up, and we filled the room with immigrant families, with organizations coming together. And we defeated the resolution. It was a really beautiful moment for me and for many others. But as an organizer, to see the power of immigrants coming together, using their voice at the local level to defeat such an anti-immigrant resolution was a huge win. So like 2 weeks after that, a friend of mine suggested that I should run against him. So I was really not really thinking about it, but he planted the seed, and then I was like, you know what, maybe, you know, we should, you know, whenever people don't stand for our values and don't stand for our families, we have to hold them accountable. And if they're not willing to still listen, then we got to unseat them and take their power, you know. And so we built a campaign, a grassroots campaign, and yeah, that's what led me to running. Was basically a councilman who was racist, who was anti-immigrant, who didn't stand with the community, conservative, and the community came out and supported me, and I was lucky enough and humbled enough to be now representing District 1 in Porterville.
Awesome. Yeah, so it seems that everyone kind of had different reasons, but all rooted in the same thing, right? Wanting that representation, and in the pursuit of equity. That's great. So yeah, moving on to the next question, I wanted to put it out there. I'm sure it wasn't easy. You all are now coming onto this Zoom session looking super, put together, killing it in what you're doing, but I'm sure that there was challenges along the way, right? Being people of color, like Jessica and Jewel, you being women. And then I know age always plays a factor as well, right? Especially in political campaigns. We saw it with the way, AOC was treated as she was running her campaign. So I want to put that out there and see maybe what challenges you all faced in your own campaigns.
Well, I'll start again. Living in the city of Keensburg, if any of you guys are familiar with the area, it is a very conservative city. And I am a pretty open Democrat. And I'm also a part of the LGBTQ plus community. And I had a baby, have a baby, and I wasn't married yet. And now I'm not even engaged anymore. So at the time it was kind of nice that I was engaged, but it didn't really matter because people immediately assumed that I wasn't smart enough, that I didn't know what I was talking about. I was 19 years old when I launched my campaign, and I was 20 when I was sworn into office. And I only won by 8 votes. And keep in mind, I also ran against an incumbent who was an older white lady, a Republican, and then I ran against a younger man. He was around 27, and he was white. And my color played a huge role in the difficulties that I faced while I was running. Going door to door with a baby, it was really, really hard to convince people to vote for me. But at the end of the day, we're doing this for people, and we have to remind them why we're the best candidate to win that position. And I did my best, and clearly it resonated with them. I think it resonated especially with a lot of young people and mothers. I was not allowed to put community organizer at the time. That was my job. I would still think it is now. But I was not allowed to put that as my ballot designation. And this was one of the moments when I knew that it's harder for young women, especially mothers, to run for office than most others. And so I asked if I could then, or I told them I would just put mother as my ballot designation because I am a mom. I did have a baby and I know it. And I got called by the county clerk's office and was questioned how many hours a month I spend being a mother. And if you guys know anything about being a parent, you don't check in and check out. You don't like, oh, I'm just gonna get off the clock. No, like I'm a mom 24/7. And so I was even questioned how many hours a month I spend being a mom. So there was a lot of things that didn't really go my way. But at the end of the day, you have to keep moving forward and remember why you're running.
You want? I'll go. I'll go next.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think for me, that some of the challenges was the fact that, I was considered the underdog. The city councilman who I was running against had been there for 17 years. So he was the longest serving councilman in the history of Porterville. He was even recognized the day that I took his seat, literally from when I was inaugurated. He was given a plaque for being the longest serving councilman. But it was definitely, I think it comes down to the fact that I had the passion to really change the status, like go against up the status quo of things. It's similar to what Councilmember Hurtado had just mentioned, is that it's a very conservative area, the Central Valley, the whole region itself. Really, I mean, I used to drive all along the 99, and seeing during elections, you could see all those, especially with Trump, running for office and everything. You could see all those signs all over the 99, and so it kind of scared me sometimes. It scares me even today. Being where we're at. With the type of people and with the racism that exists here in this region against immigrant families and farm working community. But definitely our age was my age was another factor. Being in spaces where like people were double my age and and they do make you feel like you don't belong in these spaces, and like you don't have a say, even though I was elected. At times my first year was really difficult, because I'm barely learning how. I'm still learning every day of how like the institution of local government works, and it has it's a system, right? It's an institution itself, and you have to just figure out. Having no experience in local governance, I had to figure it out every day, my own self, and trying to connect with others around me that to see what worked for them and what's working for them. And I remember, and I say this because it is difficult. I remember I was so frustrated at a one council meeting one time. And I just came out of City Hall, and after the meeting, I just started bawling out in my car, because it was just like the pressure, the feelings of how it felt to be belittled, to make the comments that are made, of like, oh, you're young, you're so it was difficult, but nevertheless, just thinking of like the fact that the people that voted for me like believed in me, and everyone that worked so hard and volunteered and gave energy to get me to be in that seat, like, is what keeps me going every day. And knowing that it would be different if the councilman that, or the former councilman that was there before was in that position, things would be different, right? So and that it is progress by the fact that I was elected. So that keeps my drive going, and knowing that utilizing my voice to make sure that I can empower others to believe that they can make a difference at the local level, and elevate their voices. Like they have the power within to make change. But yeah, it was definitely very challenging, but just keep believing and having faith that things are going to get better, and that that things would be different if I would not be in that position.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for sharing that. I think this being a youth program, right? We allow students from 13 to I think it's like 24, 25 take part in this part of our organizing. I think we've all experienced or seen, especially when looking for jobs, you don't have experience, or it's an entry level job with, 5 years of experience. It's become a meme now, right? But you were mentioning not having that experience in local governance, not really getting the chance because a lot of us are alienated from those opportunities, right? Yeah, so that's a super important piece to being a young person trying to enter that space. Yeah, and I'll go ahead pass it along to Jessica.
I was actually trying to think of challenges I did go through, because I think, well, my whole campaign was during COVID, and it was during well, most of my students actually have like my peers don't have access to internet or a computer, so voting was through computer, voting was through Google and everything. And I remember my mom was actually like the head of my campaign. She was like, she was like telling every mom and every like Latinx mom, she's like, oh, dile a tu hijo, or tell your son, tell your daughter to go on the page and vote. And it was actually very cute that my mom was like always supporting me or finding a way to like have people be there. And even though as a student, I was like, I had that pressure of also like being able to be like, look, we're right now Oakland's going through the Oakland Youth Vote, if you guys haven't heard of it. So basically it's having 16 and 17-year-olds being able to vote, or their school board members. I'm one of the heads of that campaign. I'm leading it with All City Council, which is a student union for OUSD. And so I was just telling students, this is the right time to be able to like, practice your vote, to like, this is like just leading up and telling like adults that we're ready for it. Most of our students, probably most of you guys, are like working, helping your parents doing document legal things. And it's like, those are things that adults are doing. But us as teenagers doing that, it just shows like the maturity that we have. So it was just like that challenge of just getting students to be able to vote.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'm glad that you mentioned, sorry, the elotero man is behind me if you're hearing that. It was great that you mentioned that your mom was a big part of that. I saw that Jewel was also nodding her head to that. And I think it's important for a lot of us, especially if we're first generation, college going or even high school going students, to remember that our families do and can provide value in that space. I remember when COVID first hit, I lost like 10 interview opportunities, right? Because every place stopped hiring, right? And my dad got me my first interview back during the COVID time. So, and it was just, working on someone's lawn, right? So they do have the ability to be a big part of that, right? I don't know if you had something to add on, Daniel?
Yeah, I did want to add something that is, I think, I want to elevate, and it's the fact that as young people, these local governance really, when you look at who's in power, you start to notice, why they're in power. And so you start to realize that working class families, especially young people, are like in a way pushed out of these spaces on purpose. It's designed that way. Because, when you look at the makeup of local governance, usually it's retired folks, business people, or people that have money. And it's not a space where young people, or like even me thinking of like, I have friends that are farm workers that are citizens, like they're working like all day, how could they even find the time to run a campaign and even be in these spaces, right? Working like full time. And so I think that we need, just an example, and I'm not saying like we do, we should do it for money, but like at on the Porterville City Council, being a council member, we get paid $40 a month to do everything that we do. And so I know that other councils get paid very, very minimal, like the council people, and then we're expected a lot to do a lot. And so I just think that that's definitely a big challenge that I think we need to definitely have conversations about, because it does limit who has access to these seats of power that can make big changes for communities.
Absolutely, Daniel. I agree with that. I'm not saying I want to make $1 million on a city council, but in Kingsburg it's $200 a month. And when you are a working class person, and the time that it takes to be a city council member is a lot of time, any office really. And so it's really hard, and you're right, it's pushing young people, it's pushing working class folks out of these spaces on purpose. And you mentioned business people, retired folks that have it together pretty much. And that doesn't mean we don't have it together, it just means we have to be able to go to work to provide for the family, and the $40 a month to $200 a month isn't cutting it. So great point. And then I also wanted to add on to Jessica's note about her mom helping her a lot with her campaign. My mom was so involved in my campaign. She was my SPPC filing treasurer lady. So I think it's awesome to, keep our parents in the loop and have them help us. And when we have something that we really feel passionate about, and they continue to hype you up because they're your parents, but they can also be a great resource and tool.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for sharing, everyone. Yeah, moving right along to the next question. How do you use your position to advocate for immigrants and or other marginalized communities? Particularly, I know you all may know that Siren has an office here in the Bay Area and in Central Valley, and we're very aware of the immigrant communities in both those spaces that are living in kind of completely different worlds, right? The Central Valley from the Bay Area. So I just want to, open a space for you all to share, what you may be working towards, or what gaps you may be looking to fill for those communities. And if you want, I can go ahead and pass it on to Daniel, if you'd like. It's a little easier.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you. For me, so I didn't say much about my family, but I'll say it now. Both my parents are from Jalisco. My mom immigrated from Jalisco, Guadalajara, when she was 17 years old, to the United States in 1977. She arrived to the U.S. and she was undocumented. She crossed the desert, she came to Orange County. That's where most of my family lives, in Santana, California, and I was born in Anaheim, California. And so she arrived here as an immigrant, and so it wasn't until 2013 that I got involved with the immigrant rights movement, and I'm just tying it together because immigrant rights for me, it's very like I'm very passionate about our immigrant community, and so now thinking of how I can utilize my position to elevate their voices, to work with them, to continue to build power for a community, bring them together so that we can bring collective power building and bring solutions to issues and on that front. And so I know, like right now with everything that's going on, we recognize the fact that our immigrant families are the most that are suffering right now. Like it's here in the Central Valley, it's a given, they are, most of us probably saw the picture of our farm working families, working day in and day out, no matter what the circumstances are. They're feeding the whole world, they're feeding America, yet they're treated and exploited, right? They have most immigrants that are undocumented, or all immigrants that are undocumented, don't have access to healthcare, and they don't have retirement plans, and so they're the most vulnerable of our communities here, and yet we are one of the richest regions in the world, when it comes to agriculture and what we produce. So definitely one of the things that I've been learning to do is, how do I leverage the power that I have to enter spaces and bring resources to my community? Like, how do I make connections and network with folks so that I can bring these resources. An example I can give, maybe not necessarily like from a city council perspective policy wise, but more in terms of like the connections that I've been able to make as councilman. It opens a lot of doors. I know it's, whenever you go up to someone and you present yourself as a councilman, like things change, and so it's like that form of unfortunately of elitism that exists in the society. But for me, it's like, let me use that as a way to pull resources. And an example is we're doing these food distributions in Porterville for the farm working community. And so, through the relationships that I've been able to build being on council, we were able to get a space downtown on Main Street for free because the connection that I was able to make a friend through city council. And so she gave us the space to be able to storage the food. Along, being a Food Link board member, one of our food banks has helped us to be able to pick up produce 4 days a week to be able to distribute the food to the farm working community, mostly undocumented folks here in the Central Valley. And so, in those ways, I think that we can definitely leverage our title and our power to help our community, especially those that are the most vulnerable and that have the least resources here in the Central Valley.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks.
I can go next.
Yeah, go ahead.
So it's kind of weird because I can't see, so I don't know if she's like ready to go.
Yeah.
So I'll just jump in. When I, decided to run for council and when I eventually won, I knew that it came with a huge responsibility, of course, to represent my constituents and to bring a positive change to Keensburg. But at the same time, I got a lot of attention because I'm a young, person of color who got elected in Keensburg. Doesn't happen every day. So I knew that with that happening and the attention that was going to be brought on me in that moment and still happening now, I wanted to do my best to elevate the voices, especially of our most vulnerable communities, farm workers, undocumented folks. I've worked alongside undocumented folks in a couple of my internships and as a community organizer. And I personally don't have a story like Daniel, right? Most of my family was born here, except for maybe my great grandpa and that family there. But I had never felt that personal, like it wasn't ever just immediately in my family. And so to hear stories like Daniel's, to work alongside of my friends, my heart, it just tore apart because I knew like there's not much I can do about this, but what can I do? And so when I got elected, I recognized that, okay, there's going to be a voice that I'm going to have now, and I'm just going to do my best to use it. And so I'm very, very active in politics, and that's fine. But I think that at the end of the day, what it comes down to is what you can do in your position and then what you can do with your voice. So right now, in the middle of a global pandemic, we know, and especially with the census right around the corner, right? We know that Trump, I'm not going to say Trump is attacking our communities. And so what I've been pushing for heavily, not only in my city, but in other cities, I work a lot in different rural cities like Huron and San Joaquin to make sure that these undocumented folks are filling out the census, because that money is going to come back to us and we're going to be able to use that in our communities. And it doesn't matter if you're a citizen or not, right? And so that's something that I've been advocating for heavily, as well as, like I mentioned, in this pandemic, these vulnerable communities are being hit the hardest. And so I did some research in my specific city. How many farm workers do we have? How many folks are living with food insecurities or just in poverty, and making sure that I had a meeting with our board of supervisors and connecting those families to those resources, because they're keeping us alive right now. They're putting food on the table. And so any time that I can get involved, I'm going to do it, because having a voice right now and having a sort of spotlight on me is a privilege, and we've got to use it to make sure we're amplifying the voices of the people. And just recently, a couple months ago, I think it was McFarland's, there was going to be a detention center, and it ended up unfortunately, passing, but I did my best, even though I live in Keensburg, to show up over there. And I think what it's about is all of our communities coming together and having a unified voice and just continuing to push in whatever way we can, no matter where we live.
Awesome.
Just to amplify what Daniel said, just how family and all that, just, your culture, how that's how you basically present yourself. Well, my mom was, she immigrated to the United States from La Ciudad de Mexico. You know, I'm a whole DF person. Soy a chilanga. So my mom came out here, you know, did her thing. She was educated. She went to university in Mexico and everything. But once you come to the United States, it's not the same education you get. It's, you know, when you try to like get your degree, it's not the same jobs that you're gonna get. You're not gonna get a job that quick because you don't know the English or you don't know the culture or how you speak it. So she had to start all the way from the, you know, bottom, which is being a babysitter. And I think I'm a babysitter too. I feel like a lot of people babysit either are like little siblings, or, you know, you just start going to, I'm sorry to say, but white people's houses, and, you know, that's how you're gonna get money. And after that, she got her papers and everything. But it also came to the conclusion that she didn't want me to lose my roots. So I went to Mexico. I go every summer, and I teach to students out there English. And for me, it's like, it's so easy. Like I'm just so connected to the culture that they say bicultural. I don't know how to say it, but it's using that voice that like, I want to be educated by my own roots, and I want to know like what people go out there like. There's no big difference. And I hate when people say like, you know, oh, like there's only rapists and blah, 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 blah out there, but it's not. It's a beautiful culture that we're hella like connected, you know, like when our own people are always stay together. But going back to the advocate for our immigrants, we have a lot of students that are newcomers in Oakland, since Oakland's a sanctuary city. But it's not just Mexicans, it's also our Arabic students, our Central American students. It's all parts of China, like a lot of parts from the US, from the world. And so it's like, how can I use my voice? And I hate that, you know, Daniel also spoke about this, is like, I used to tell the superintendent staff, you know, hey, how many translators there are so we can like help other students be able to connect with their families and everything, and they wouldn't give you no response. Now that I'm just an OUSD student director, I get those responses quick. And I hate that. You know, just because you're a youth and you're just trying to advocate for other students, you don't get the response. As long as you have a title, you get fast responses, and I hate that. But it's like, how can we advocate for others now that we have a position? So for those students, it's like, I always want to have as many, like right now, since we were going through a whole pandemic, many people are losing their jobs. Many families are moving out because they can't afford it. And I'm sorry to say, but Oakland is so gentrified that most of our students are coming from Brentwood, Stockton, Tracy, to come for their education in Oakland. And it sucks to say that because, like, you know, most of those students have to travel a lot. And so those families are not being called in or checked in. So it's like, you know, how can you tell the leadership in the district to be like, hey, can you check in on this family? Do we have enough translators? We only have one translator for Arabic, and that sucks for like 36,000 students. So it's, how can I use my voice? So I'm always trying to like see different ways how I can use my voice to like amplify their students and their needs. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for speaking on that. We actually had a previous session on education and talked about kind of the disparities in immigrant education, especially for you know, young children that come to this country not speaking English or very limited English, right? Great. Moving on to the next question, I just want to ask, what have you learned about organizing and advocacy through your campaign and now through your work that you're doing in your positions, or, you know, another work that you've done? And I'll go ahead and pass it on along to Jewel to start off on this one.
Amazing.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
Okay, it's okay. I was like, let me read the question. What have I learned about organizing and advocacy through campaign work? I have learned that your campaign is as inclusive and as exciting as you want to make it. I think a lot of young people get really nervous, or anybody that's just not plugged into politics gets really nervous to jump into a campaign because they don't know, are they going to do it right? Maybe they're anxious to get on the phone and call the voter or go door knocking. And yeah, it is scary stuff. But I think, and I know Daniel's campaign was like this too, because I love to watch it. We ran in the same year. And you've got to make it like a family. I don't know if you guys have seen like how AOC kind of runs for campaigns. It's just very family oriented and just down to earth, and reminding people that yes, this is about politics and there is a political process to this, but it's about people, and we have to remember why we're doing this. I would always tell folks that were coming to volunteer for me, you know, even if I don't win, we're able to connect with people, we're able to connect with voters and hear what their points of view are, how they feel. And even if I don't win, I'm going to continue to be a community leader, and I can take that to the council and public comment. We're not going to lose. There's no losing here. And just remembering that it's about all of us and not just me as a candidate. And that's why I supported Bernie Sanders so heavily, because his campaign was so inclusive and it was inviting to really anyone. I mean, that was a Democrat. And it wasn't, as he said, it's not me, it's all of us. And I think that was one of the most valuable lessons that I learned on my campaign, was that, like, this is not about me, this is not about getting elected, this is about being a voice for people and making it truly inclusive. And yeah, I think that's all I'll say on that.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. Daniel, I don't know if you'd wanted to go ahead and follow up.
Yeah, so I would say for me, it's I organized before I was on council, so I like to always believe that organizing for me, it's so beautiful, like to empower, to come together with community. So like I always love organizing, I love mobilization, I like working with community and getting things done together on a collective front. And so I've always enjoyed that, and I continue to do that. And I think that now being on council, I think that it's a combination of using both. And I like to, and I've said this multiple times because I've seen it happen, and I think it can really make changes. So when we educate our community on issues, when we organize them on issues, when we mobilize them to take action, that's organizing. That's for me is building power within our community. Then also having elected officials that care about the community, that have values centered on equity, on love, on working for others, and not special interests or for money or for reputation. And when we have leaders that care for people and that are willing to stand with the people, then when you have both those elected officials on those positions of power and you have community working together, then you can really build better communities for everyone, especially those that are marginalized and the most vulnerable of our communities. And so also the other thing is that I think that I believe that even if we didn't have a title, even if I wasn't a council member, I would still be organizing, because I think when it comes to building up community and uplifting community, like we still have the capacity to do that without being a council member. We still have the capacity to do that without having that title. We can go out there and do something good for others with just taking initiative and getting others to take initiative with us. And so I think it's very important to understand that it's great to have elected officials that support our communities and to organize. And I think that really, for me, is where we can build power. But at the end of the day, we can still make a difference by using our voice, by having our bodies present in a protest, or and not having to say anything, just being present, or by just simply empowering others to take action for a better world for each other.
Awesome.
Just adding on to Daniel again and Jewel. I have always been very active in organizing ever since elementary school. My elementary school was very big on organizing grassroots things. So I've always been part of many different little things. But my main campaign was Water is Life with Oakland Unified School District. It was being able to have those flow water, those at schools, they have filtered water because our schools have lead in their waters. So it was being able to have those in each school. Thank God we did get through it, and we had enough funding to be able to have one in each school. Now we had water bottles for each student in Oakland Unified School District. But what I have learned is it's a lot of patience, and you go through a lot of struggles. There's points that you break down and you're just I'm done. I want to take a break. I don't know why I'm doing this, but then you remember this is the reason you're doing it, because you remember about the students, your families, the people that support you, your community. And that's just what brings me up again. And I think one of the most impressive things that I just remember was organizing the protest to Mayor Libby Schaaf's house. I co-organized that with my best friend. We went all the way up to her house, and it was around like 4,000 people. And it was just that moment that I just remembered, like, you know, the community comes together. No matter what, your community is always going to support you no matter what. Even if it's just your family, there's always going to be someone that's going to support you. And just remember that you're doing it for the people, you're doing it for the future generations, you're doing it for your ancestors, because your ancestors came to this country for a reason. And it's for you to be able to be progressive and make some differences in your community and be able to continue that work that they didn't do. So it's planting that seed and then letting it grow.
Awesome. That was really, really great. Thank you. I want to go on to that next question. Yeah, tons of claps. Daniela, I do see your question. We'll go ahead and talk about that right after this next question. Does that sound good? Awesome. So yeah, so the next question is, what would you say to someone, particularly a young person, who may be thinking of running for office? And then also, if y'all wouldn't mind, because I think Jewel brought up a great point about, you know, what happens if you don't get elected, right? Because that can be demoralizing, especially if it's your first campaign, especially if there was a lot of doubters and now you may be doubting yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and throw it to Daniel to start us off.
Okay. So for me, if you're young, a young person wanting to run for office and thinking about running, I would say something I shared in a similar space with Jewel when we went to talk to some youth was that really find your why, like your why you want to run. You know, what is going to drive you, and the reason why I think that's super important is because that's what's going to keep you going when you get those lows and you get those challenges and you get the people that are hating on you. And you know, I had that all of that, and it was tough, you know. And you know, I have people slam their doors on me, people that said I was pro every, you know, because I was standing for immigrants. They were anti-immigrant, and they would just say, oh, you're for everyone to come into this country and rape us and everything. And I'm like, what are you you know, I had people tell me that. And you know, it was hard, you know, it was definitely very hard. But I would say that find your why of why you're going to do it, because that's definitely what's going to carry you forward in those difficult moments that you're going to have while you're running. And also, you know, really, you know, find the people around you, surround yourself with people that are gonna, you know, recommitted to your vision, as well as you decide to run. And also reach out to others, you know, like I think definitely if you're thinking of running, please don't like one of the things that I have always lacked growing up was confidence in myself, like my self-esteem. So even when I was running, before I even decided to run, even in the process of running, I still was very like, oh my gosh, I would tell myself I'm not experienced, I don't know nothing about the local government, I haven't finished my bachelor's degree, you know, I'm not, you know, I'm young, you know, like I don't know any of this. And you know, really having other people tell me, hey Daniel, like I believe in you, like, oh Daniel, like I know you'll do a good job, like Daniel, like we need you there, like hearing those comments really empowered me to believe in myself. And I think believing in yourself that you are capable of whether it's running for office or accomplishing anything around you, like that you start your mind to, like, believe in yourself and have faith in yourself, I think is the biggest, I think the biggest piece of advice I can say is that the first person that you need to believe in is in yourself, right? Before people can believe in you to be in the positions, right? And so I think definitely doing internal work and thinking and believing that and having faith that you can actually make this happen, and with community support and bringing people together, I think is definitely what I would say. And I know that myself, and I know Jessica and Jewel would probably be on the same page, that we're here to help you, to support you in whatever capacity, to give you mentorship, to give you pointers even outside of this session if you do decide to run, because we need more younger progressives to run across California. And it's like, we are, I know me and Joel, we went to one of the conferences, and we were like, let's start a young caucus of elected officials, because there's so little of us, you know, that exist across the state, young people. And so we definitely need more younger progressive women in these positions of power. And so we definitely, I would say, extend my hand out to anybody, and let you know that we're here for you, to support you, and to continue advocating for our communities all the way.
It's Daniel, it's like that song in Arthur, believe in yourself, and that's the place to start. Okay, yeah, so I second all of that, Daniel. I mean, council member Daniel, that is so true. You have to believe in yourself and know that you do hold personal power. And, you know, at the end of the day, like I mentioned, win or lose, we're going to continue to do this work. Really quickly, I wanted to read, I had to go to my Instagram to find it. I had posted this, AOC shared it in that documentary that she was in called Knock Down the House on Netflix. If you haven't watched it and you're a fan of AOC, or you're just a young progressive person interested in running for office, watch that documentary. But she says, I can do this. I am experienced enough to do this. I am knowledgeable enough to do this. I am prepared enough to do this. I am mature enough to do this. And last but not least, she says, I am brave enough to do this. And that is something, that is a quote that I carry with me all the time. I constantly, anytime, Daniel's right, in these meetings, in these spaces, we're the youngest people in the room. At that conference, Daniel, I think there were 5 of us that hung out, like the young kids. And it really shouldn't be like that. And so reminding yourself, I am mature enough, I am brave enough, I can do this, and I am experienced enough, because what people are going to tell you is that you're not experienced enough. I too have not finished my bachelor's degree. Like I said, I'm transferring next fall. I had to go at a different pace. I have a baby, he has special needs. Everyone has their own personal story and their own way they're going to do things. And if we decide to run for office as young people because we know what we're talking about, well, we're going to do it. And that's another thing I wanted to bring up is become involved in your community and do know what you're talking about, because it isn't about being a young person getting a seat and getting attention. It's about bringing about that positive change. And a lot of elected officials, which is a reason why politics can be so frustrating, is when people get elected to office, they change. They have power. They feel like they're suddenly, I don't want to say a bad word, but they're the crap, right? And no, you were elected by people to represent them. You're there for them. You're their voice. You're not there to like have a fun show. And so that's another thing to keep in mind. It's going to be hard to get to the positions of power, but once you're there, remember why you're there. And I think Daniel said that. Remember your why. Like I mentioned, for me, mine's my baby, and other children too, and in the world we grow up in. And so yeah, I think that's the kind of the advice that I would have. But do keep in mind there is a sacrifice, personally, and also once you're out there and you're running for office, people are going to attack you left and right, and it's going to be really, really tough, especially if you're a person of color, especially if you're poor like me, especially if you're a college student. They're going to attack you, and you just got to be ready and remember your why, and why you just we're going to keep pushing forward. So believe in yourself. That's all for me.
Just continuing on with Jewel, just shout out to Jewel, 'cause she had a whole baby, and she's doing her own thing. It's like women son chingonas. And just want to say that to all my young people, because I'm so young, I'm not like, I'm literally you guys, like I'm still 17, I'm still doing my own thing, I'm still figuring out what I want to do in life. Do it. I remember being president in treasurer in elementary school, and I remember making my little signs and everything, and it's just having the inspiration of your little self, or whatever inspires you to keep on going. One thing I remember, or I could talk about, is my cousin, who's actually on here. Her name's Diana. Say hi, Diana. She actually, I made her run for California Latino Leadership Project. She is now the Sacramento ambassador for the California Latino COLP. You guys should check it out. But she is now the Sacramento ambassador. I told her, I was like, you gotta do this, and she did it, and she won. And this is the reason that we need more women in these spaces. And I'm just so happy, because you can motivate other people. When you do it yourself thing, do it with other people. Don't just negative, just come have a better position, I'm not gonna help you. I was like, no, help each other out. We're here to support each other. I'm here for anybody. If you guys ever need anything, any advice, just a friend to talk to, I'm here for that. I go through the same struggles. I have my meltdowns like every 6 days, and my boyfriend's over here calling me like, you got this, it's okay. Like my mom's always like, ¿Qué pasó? She comes to my room with like little ice cream trying to make it up, or like tamales or something. She'll pull it up. Thank God that my parents are so supportive, because I think some also we all go to is like our parents may not also be supportive. They might be scared because they're like, oh, this might happen to you, or they might talk back to you, or like, it's just your parents are being overprotected, and it's okay, because I think as a youth, there's a lot that goes through. I just lost 6 friends like past weekend because of gun violence. And that's what my mom always brings it up. She's like, I don't want you to be out there. I don't want you to be doing a lot of things because this can happen or that can happen. But there's always bringing that fact that you want to represent your community, be able to have that voice. All women are badasses. All women are like, you guys are powerful. Same with men, like, men who are always there with women and always like, talking good about women and always trying to like, put their spotlight on women. Like, y'all are amazing. Yeah, just all of that. Like, I'm just saying to all of the youth, like, you guys are powerful. Gen Z is powerful. We're gonna make so many amazing things. Well, those protests are amazing. Like, there's so much to say, but yeah.
I wanted to really quickly add on to Jessica. I love you. I can't even see your face right now because I can only see Daniel and some other folks. But girl, you are killing it. And I think it is important to talk about the real life behind it. You said you have meltdowns every 6 days. I do too. Before I got on this today, I'm here with my partner, and I told them, I said, I'm just nervous because like, what if I don't say the right thing? And then the young kids don't want to run for office, and it's because of me. I freak out. I have like all these moments, and you're right. Like the way that your boyfriend's there for you, my partner's there for me. Like, just calm down. And then when you mentioned about more young women running for office, yeah, that's important too. I think when you ask a man, like, hey, you should run for office, like you should do this, he is gonna be like, oh yeah, I should. Like I could totally do that. And then when, like for myself, for example, my mom told me, my friend told me, my mentor told me, and I was like, no, it's not going to happen. And then, it was brought up again and again and again. I think it was like 10 times. And I thought, oh, I think I can do it. And then even then I wasn't like positive. So long story short, yes, do it. And it's also important that young progressives are in these spaces because we have the chance to be more inclusive, right? So it's not just men and women, but it's non-binary folks, it's trans folks, it's people that are a part of the LGBTQ plus community. And it's about amplifying those voices, talking about these are my pronouns, how things like roll, because older people don't get that. They're not with the times. And if they do, I applaud them. But being loud, being proud. And I'm just so glad I was able to be on this panel and meet you, Jessica. Love you too, Daniel, but we've done a ton of these together already.
Yeah, I would like to just say that all of you, the youth is the future of everywhere, like where we live, our narratives gives us enough, that's enough for us to be in these spaces of power, to make decisions for our community, because we are experiencing the injustices in our communities. We are the ones who are going through this within us, not only city council, but school boards as well. We need more young people in school boards, because that's how we're going to change the education system as well, by having those voices of young people in those spaces. Because you look at school boards everywhere, like it's all old white people. I mean, I'm just telling you, here locally, that's how it is. And so it's not just city council, but even if you're not, if you're thinking of running, I would say also advice is like go join a commission, like the youth commission, like the Parks and Leisure Commission. Like these commissions in your local government are also spaces where you can learn just how things get done and how things work in local government, to give you kind of like maybe that kind of more, build that confidence as you decide to maybe run for higher office. But definitely, like, all of you, I'm so excited for young people that are like 10 years younger than me, because I'm 26 already, but because y'all are like gonna be changing, seeing you all protesting for the Black Lives Matter, just that was all young people, sophomores, freshmen, juniors, seniors out there. And I was just so excited to know that this is the future, and like we're, it's, you guys are going to be leading the way, even leading us even better in a better world, down the road. And so I'm super excited, and thank you for the space that all of you provided for us to be here, and for me to be here with you all.
I saw some things in the, oh, sorry, go ahead. You can go.
No, same thing. I just saw some things on the chat.
In the chat, yes.
Our chat's always active.
Oh, my bad.
Okay, so if your district does not have a student representative or student directors, please hit me up, because by the state of California, they're supposed to have at least or 1 or 2 student directors on their board. So if they don't have that, we can start a whole petition, get that done, and have at least student directors on that. Please hit me, because that needs to happen.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And also, if you want to run, if you're 18, you can run for school board. And please do, because we have a lot of people that are like very old who don't need to be in these conversations, and trying to put curriculums that they're not needed anymore. And it's important to have young people on those boards, because they're making the decisions for our own education. We're affected by their decisions. So just remembering that please run.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And one last thing before we go, Daniel mentioned commissions in your city. Those are super important. When I was 18 and pregnant, I was appointed to a commission for my city, and that's where I learned so much. Also, there's somebody on this call, her name is Elizabeth, and she ran, and she didn't win, but she ran for ASI, and I know president, and I know that she's held other seats in the past. And that's something, it's an example of something you can do while you're in college. You don't have to run for like I don't want to say real office, but you don't have to run for a big time office at 19. You can run for things within your school. You can be on commissions, volunteer boards, advisory boards, or just show up. And it's super important to do that. So I wanted to give Elizabeth that shout out, because I adore you. Also, Jessica, red lipstick, yes. Let's go. Woo! I'm so glad I was able to see your face.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you all for sharing so much. Just a couple of points. Knock down the house. Actually, we talked about it a little bit, because we've been, everyone sends like book and film recommendations in the chat a lot. So if you have any, always feel free to send them. Want to throw a huge congratulations out to Diana. I actually was the COLP statewide president a few years ago. So definitely very much aware of that space. So yeah, congratulations. What I want to go ahead and do, oh yeah, no problem, sorry. What I wanted to go ahead and do now, let me share my screen again. I want to give Jewel the chance to see everyone's face, at least for a little bit. I'm gonna open it up to some Q&As because there might be a lot of questions. If you can please just go ahead, raise your hand like virtually, so then I can go ahead and go down the list and make it a lot easier. Awesome, and we already have our first question. Elizabeth, go ahead.
Yeah, I just had a question for all of you. Do you look up to someone that motivates you to continue to be involved as much as you all have been? And if so, who is that person?
I want to jump right in and say AOC. I'm just going to go for it. She's super inspiring, because not only does, she look like me, and does she look like a lot of us, but she's so genuine, and she's lived the real life. Right? And now she can take that into office. Another person who really inspires me is Bernie Sanders and my mom. So, and Daniel and Jessica. Woo.
Just continuing on with what Joel said. Usually it's my mom who really inspires me every time. She's just a hardworking woman, has 3 jobs, and still continues to find a way to always be there for me. And that's something that really motivates me. Other than that, it's just my own community, because when I see my community, it basically reflects who I am. And so just being able to have youth that I can talk to on a daily basis is just what inspires me.
Awesome.
I would have to
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go. You could go. It's okay.
Oh no. I was just saying awesome, yeah.
Oh yeah, I know. It's for me, it's my mom. Growing up with my mom being a single parent, I think made me who I am today, and makes me very conscious of also just I even me as a man in the society, just knowing the struggles that my mom went through, and just seeing it through a child looking towards a mother going through the challenges that a single parent has to go through as a woman of color. Even though I didn't experience that, but I did see it, I think makes me very conscious of the spaces that I'm in, to respect and respect women first of all, and also step to the side when recognizing that in this society men have a lot of privilege, and really recognizing that as well. And so my mom really, she motivates me so much every day. just because I know her story is many people's stories of immigrants that came to this country looking for a better life, but finding very much a lot of inequity, and still today that exists today, right, within the immigrant community. And so and also just the community, the community that I'm surrounded by, like, they give me so much courage, like when I'm out giving out food distributions, like the fact that they give me sodas, they give me like gifts, like, like just the humbleness of our community and the perseverance and the resilience that exists in our community just really motivates me. And just the fact that there's so much injustice every day, it just like it fuels me. It fuels me like it drives the fire for justice for me, my hunger for justice, for all the issues and all the things that are happening directly here outside my door. People without access to clean water, people with inadequate resources to food, with no healthcare access, with young people going through mental health issues, going through homelessness, going through parents that are addicted to drugs or to alcohol. And so like there's students like that I met and that I meet, that I hear their stories, and they fall through the cracks in the education system. And so I think there's just so much, and all that together collectively makes me want to just wake up and just be ready. Of course, taking care of yourself and finding a balance to make sure, because it's a lot that's happening. And so just making sure you take care of yourself and you take care of your mental health, emotional health as well, is very, very important. And so that's why I got some candles lately. I fell in love with candles because they relax me so much. But finding what helps you, decompress from everything that's going on as well. Even though there is a lot of stuff that's happening, we need that time for ourselves. But yeah.
Do you have something to add on, Jewel?
I just wanted to say it's 6:40. I do have to go. But I put my Twitter, Instagram, and city email in the chat. So if anybody has any questions they want to specifically ask me, feel free to reach out. I am pretty active on those platforms. So I'm gonna head out.
Yeah, thank you so much. I actually was about to check in with you, Daniel, as well. How you're looking time-wise, because I do want to be respectful of your schedule. Thank you, Jewel.
Bye. Take care.
Hi, Jewel.
Yeah, I'm good to stay on as long as I'm gonna be. I mean, if I can participate in the whole session with you guys.
Yeah, no, of course. I did see that Rosie and Mary had a question. Did you all want to go ahead and?
Hi.
Yeah.
Yes. So I wanted to ask, how do you both deal with, so given that you are young, you still participate in a lot of like quote unquote young activities. So how do you balance both your professional job setting and your professional life setting versus like your private, more personal, as well as like on social media? And like, did any of that ever affect you when you were running? Anything that you posted?
Sorry, Jessica informed me that her internet was gonna go out, so I think it dropped. So I think right now it's only Daniel. If you want to go ahead and.
Yeah, I think that's one of the challenges that I've had, is that there's this idea of like that you have to, as you if you're an elected official, you have to like separate your professional and your personal life, and I do agree with that. You have to, but it's I have my close friends that know me, and I tend to hang out with them more often than other folks, and they very much like know me who I am, and are accept me who I am, and that's my close friends. And I mean, with COVID-19, I haven't had the chance to hang out with them as much, but definitely it's a balance that I try to keep, because also have to understand that I represent a whole community, like of people, and I have to also understand that there is a stand. I'm not gonna be out like doing things that I shouldn't be doing, and posting about it, right? Like it's just not right, because it especially like if me being a person that they're going to criticize you for anything you do, and so it's very easy for them to use anything you do against you. But but it's something that I'm still learning every day how to do better. Like, quite honestly, like, balancing, like who I hang out with sometimes, I have to sometimes, like, not, I can't say what I want to say sometimes with people, because, they could maybe share that, and it goes around. And so it's extremely difficult. It is for me. Like, and so definitely it's not an easy thing, but I'm working on how to make it better to to balance those things on my own, because I don't, I think that we need that space. We need to really have those spaces in our own lives, like personal space and then professional space. Definitely has to be separated, because it can be overwhelming if you don't have them separated.
Yeah, well said. Um, it is 6:45, and I do want to give some time for the next thing on our agenda. I don't know if anyone had one final question. And yeah, and Daniel, you're more than welcome to stay throughout the whole session. We go until 7:30. Did anyone have any final questions before we go ahead and move on? Okay, great. Well, first of all, I want to just let you know, Daniel, how grateful we are that you took the time to do this. Again, more than welcome to stay. But I think it was really insightful, and I saw a lot of people in chat being super inspired by the things that yourself, Jessica, and Jewel were able to share. So again, thank you. And I've heard lots and lots of great things from you, especially from Maricela, who I think you're very familiar with. Awesome.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation, and definitely it's it's, I'm sad that Jessica and Joe had to leave, but definitely it's this space, the fact that all of you are participating with Siren in this program, I think shows a lot, because even me as a young person, I never really got involved into any politics until I got to college. So it really inspires me to see you all of you being part of this, and being willing to become conscious of what's going on around us. And so just know that all of you inspire me. So I just want to say that as we end this session. So I'll stay on, and because I really just wanted to see how you guys do the program. All of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it looks like Jessica actually rejoined. So we kind of closed down the sessions just now, Jessica, but I did want to extend a huge thank you to you for coming on. I know you've been in some of our sessions, and then I've heard amazing things about yourself as well, and how young you are, 17, to be doing. I gotta watch myself too, right? Doing the thing out there, and really representing. Again, you're more than welcome to stay. We're gonna go into a quick break for just 5 minutes, and then we're gonna go ahead and get into our next thing. We'll be back at 6:52. Thank you, everyone. Everyone, if we could start coming back now. It offers application tips. All right, so that a few people are coming back now. Thank you for putting that in the chat, Daniela. I don't know if you want me to go ahead and send that out as well with the information that I'll be sending out tonight with the contact info for panelists. Let me know if you want me to include that in there as well. Okay, so we'll go ahead and keep moving right along because I think most people should be back by now. So because we've been doing a lot of like listening and discussion, I thought it'd be a fun change of pace to do a Kahoot with some questions related to immigration. How does that sound to everyone? Does everyone know what Kahoot is? Yeah, I assume most people know, right? Okay, cool. So I'm gonna go ahead, put the link in chat. Please put your name as your nickname. Keep it appropriate, you know. And we'll see if we can maybe get a little prize going for everyone, okay? So give me 1 second while I send everything out, okay? Sure. Okay. So go ahead and go onto kahoot.it. I'll put in the chat. And then put in this game pin. See that we already have a few people on. 494669. Game pin's on there for all of you. And you can do this on your phone, you can do this on your computer, with or without the app. I'm liking it, Shekinah. And are you all able to see the screen with the names and stuff? Yeah, okay, cool. You give everyone about a minute or so to give everyone a chance to get on. Okay. All right, I think we're gonna go ahead and get started. Okay, so I didn't make this one, okay? So the question is, how many US farm workers are foreign born, in parentheses, mostly Mexican? You got 7 minutes left. So the right answer was nearly 8 in 10. It's really, really crazy. Let's see. Okay, so we see Italia's up at the top. Nice. Let's go. Next question. What does NAFTA stand for? Oh, wow, everyone got it. Okay, cool. Let's see. Okay, we're seeing Thomas take the lead. Nice. We're going to try to go through these fast. What main jobs were Mexican immigrants doing in the US in the early 1900s? Nice, yeah, so it was mostly farm labor. Okay, so Thomas is still holding the lead by like 27 points. Nice. What percentage of undocumented immigrants come from Mexico? So this one was a little bit more split. Yeah, so only about 60%. I know a lot of the conversation is always that it's only Mexico, but very much is a lot of other people, right? And it looks like we see Italia taking the lead up again. I will say, if you can turn on your face cam, if you're playing, please do so. It's a lot more fun to see your reactions that way, I think. Awesome. So what main jobs are most Mexican workers doing in the US today? Yeah, so just about everything. And Brenda's on fire. Oh, wow. Nice. Approximately what percentage of today's immigrants have legal documents? Oh, wow. Yeah, so 75%. So it's important to note that immigrants can a lot of things. Doesn't necessarily mean someone crossing the border. A lot of the times it's people coming over with student or worker visas and stuff like that. Cool. I did see Mater share that isn't the biggest group Haiti. I haven't. I went through these questions. I don't know the exact source. I forgot the name of the organization. So I don't know how outdated some of the data might be. Okay. But yeah, definitely call it out in the chat. All right. Nice. Quiz. Which solution to the undocumented immigrant problem does the anti-immigration side support? Yeah, so it's that whole build a wall, particularly on the southern border, right? Oh, wow. We're seeing Jai climb 7 places. Nice. Which of the following US companies were founded by immigrants? Oh, thank you for the clarification, Nader. I think this is something that we talked about, immigrant economics session, correct? Something like that. Yeah, so all of them. Yeah, this is something that we definitely spoke about. It's really funny because eBay's down the street from my house, like eBay headquarters, literally right there. Nice. What government benefits can undocumented immigrants receive? So keep in mind that this should be federal, right? Because it'll vary state by state and city by city. Yeah, none of them. We still pay taxes, right? Awesome. So we're seeing some changes in the leaderboard. Nice. What percentage of dairy farm workers are foreign born? Yeah, 40%. That's a huge part of our dairy industry, right? Man, Thomas, you're really making it hard for everyone right now. What would be the requirements of the DREAM Act? So I believe this is the bill introduced a while back, not the Dreamers program that we have. Yeah, and obviously some of these requirements, like be of good moral character, are a little subjective, right? Okay, Alejandra, nice. So we're about halfway through. How many undocumented people were stopped at the Canadian border in 2010? So this is something that is not talked about in the media at all. Yeah, right. And this is something that we never really discuss. Let's see. Nice. You two are really, really close. Where were most Hispanics or Spanish-speaking people living in Minnesota born? So what countries were they born? I believe that this organization that created this one is Minnesota-based, and that's why they're asking this question. Sorry, I was muted. Alejandro mentioned that this is a little hard, and yeah, makes it more fun that way, though, right? Okay, what is the most common way someone can earn legal status to the United States? Yeah, so this is a sponsorship, what we call it. Kind of shows how hard it really is to get asylum, right? Which everyone says they should get asylum or they should go the legal way, but you know, still neck and neck. Actually, a lot of people. Savani climbing up. Sorry for the dog barking. Can't do anything. Why did both the Secretary of Education and the Secretary of Defense support the DREAM Act? So again, this is that bill that was introduced in Congress a while ago. So there's one of those critical analysis ones where we have to think through. Yeah, exactly. Nice. Wow. Jennifer, you're just not getting anything wrong. Awesome. How many US doctors are foreign born? One in three, yeah. 33% is a crazy, crazy number. Nice, nice, nice. Am I okay? How are undocumented immigrants coming across our northern border? Yeah. Sorry. Nice. Let's see where we're at. Okay, we're getting close again. We're at 18 of 25. What did the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo do? So this is something that maybe wasn't really covered in school for a lot of people. So, you know, just take a wild guess. I think this was covered for me like second or third grade. Yeah, it's not taught too much in schools. Yeah. Um, so correct me anyone if, yeah, it's very important. I don't remember all the history behind it, so I don't want to necessarily say it. So maybe you want to look it up. The only reason I know about it is because I had my textbooks. I went to a bilingual school that imported textbooks from Mexico, so clearly that was something that they covered. But I know that's not the case for most people. AP Spanish, yeah, nice. Thomas is pulling ahead. It was after the Mexican-American War, yeah. Which solution to the undocumented immigration problem does the pro-immigrant side support? Yeah. So again, the wording is super important in this one and the previous one that was talking about anti-immigration side. Yeah, so definitely changing visa options and numbers to better reflect needs. So we see that a lot with how we talked before about like the whole nursing thing, and you know, bringing in entrepreneurs and stuff like that. Oh wow, climbing up there. Yeah, you got confused with anti. Yeah, a couple of people did. Yeah. What percentage of the U.S. military are immigrants? Oh wow. Yeah, so 5%, which is a very considerable number, if you think about it, because I believe the U.S. military has certain bans on undocumented immigrants from joining. So a lot of these have to be immigrants with some sort of visa or legal documentation. Yeah, but all two people. Wow. Okay. Green card lottery winner requirements include which of the following? And if you don't know what a green card lottery is, a lot of countries have green card lotteries to come to the United States. And that's the only way that they're able to get here. But there's incredibly small amounts of, yeah, most of you got it. Yeah, there's very, very few opportunities to actually win the green card for your family to come over to the United States. But we see this in a lot of other countries. Nice. What percentage of new businesses in the US today are started by immigrants? So I know we talked about this too. 25%, yeah. Nice. Okay, well, we're getting down to the wire. Brenda's back in the game. Nice. We're on question 23 of 25, which is what two countries do most immigrants in the military come from? What pair of countries do most immigrants in the military come from? And Brenda, this is your chance. Nice. Oh, wow. Alejandra's still in the race. What percentage of the total US workforce is foreign born? So this is the entire workforce. You're scared. Yeah, I didn't do so hot when I played, so it's okay. Yeah, 17%. That's a crazy number. That's almost a fifth of the entire workforce. Oh, wow. Nice, nice. Well, we see a lot of people, everyone still has a chance to win. This is the last question. So why does the US economy need immigrant labor? We're going to emphasize need. It's anyone's game right now. Nice. So let's see. Nice, 19 out of 25. Paula, nice. Nice. Congrats. And then Jennifer and Thomas, runners up. So I'm going to look into seeing if we can include a little prize there for you. Let me go ahead and there we go. How do I do this? Y'all are so gracious in defeat. I'm super competitive. I would have thrown something. I don't know. Cool. All women, nice. Awesome. So we're starting to come to the end of today's session. Just for the closing, we have about 15 minutes left. I want to open the floor to see if any of you have anything to say, any comments, any questions about the great panelists that we had today, or about anything that we've covered. We're about to get into our last week of the session. Obviously, we still have our regular youth program, but for our Summer Institute, it's starting to wind down a little bit. So I wanted to open the floor and give anyone a chance to speak on, whatever. Can be anyone.
I mean, sorry if there's background noise. I'll just say that every time I'm just I sit down at 5:30 to get ready for this and kind of a little, I'm not feeling so good. Every time Siren brings an amazing speaker with an amazing message. And I just always feel super inspired walking away and just productive for these 2 hours and after. So yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, just adding on to that, I kind of got I was attending CLYL Peace conferences right before this, and then I joined this, and it's also become a part of my little routine throughout the week, Tuesdays and Fridays, 5:30 to 7:30, and it's become really cool. And every single time I leave from these meetings, I go back and I share information with my family because it's just so cool, and I feel inspired to learn more and find out more information about it. So about what we learned about. It's really cool. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we're super glad that y'all are enjoying the meetings and want to continue a lot of this energy just throughout the year. Not as frequent because it does get a little hard, but still taking this more. Seeing a lot of things in chat. From Jennifer, I learned about Siren through school, so I'm so happy to be a part of it somehow. Yeah, we're glad to have you, Alejandra. This is such a beautiful space. I'm truly blessed to share with you all. Yeah, no, thank you for being a part of it. Does anyone else have anything else to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly say that I love how enthusiastic and everyone is, and it's just really beautiful to see a lot of young people being so involved. I think often people do not really think that young people are this active and this eager to learn more about ways that they can be more engaged. So it's always super refreshing to to realize that we're all really, really involved and want to get more involved and are ready to continue the conversation. So it's just all inspiring. So it's definitely a great experience.
Awesome. Anyone else? It can be about anything. Jessica, did you want to say something? You're unmuted. Sorry, we can't hear you right now. I still can't hear you. Sorry. I don't know if you want to put in the chat. Maybe that might be easier. Okay, it's good. Anyone else before we go ahead and close out? Sorry, I'm reading some of the chat. Awesome. Well, I'm going to go ahead and call it, no, that's it for today, for today's session. Please let me know if you have any questions regarding the final project. I think we have all the groups. I think we have 11 total groups. If you have any questions, please don't put too much pressure on it. We don't want, and you all to be stressed about, this project, especially if you're back in school, you're working, taking care of family, whatever it is. Just try to do what you think would work. Again, try to connect it to immigrant rights in some way, and then really enjoy the time that you get with your group, putting it together. We're gonna share some more information with you later on about the fellowship application, kind of the structure of how next Friday, which is gonna be our last session, is gonna go, how presentations are gonna work a little bit. So just make sure that you look out for those emails. The way I do emails is that I pull reports from the attendance. So if you, for whatever reason, miss, a session, because we have so many new people join us every session, it's hard for me to pull, all these reports. So if you missed a session, feel free to reach out or watch, the video on YouTube. I post it every night after our sessions. Email me and say, hey, I missed out on that email. Please send it through. I know I've had a couple of people do that and I've been able to send it to you all. Other than that, follow Siren on Instagram at Siren Immigrant Rights, because there are some really, really good opportunities coming up. Siren is hiring more phone bankers right now for, I think, $16 an hour. So if, any of you are at home watching a little too much Netflix, or want to get involved somehow, that would be a great way. Again, we do have that job opening for a youth organizer. I don't know all the details myself, but definitely if you email, I think it's hr@siren-bayarea.org, or our general email, they'll be able to provide you with a little bit more information. Other than that, we have, I don't know if there's an age requirement, Miguel. So you would have to contact, I think you can send a DM to the Instagram, and the person responding should be able to let you know. For next Tuesday's session, we have super, super exciting. We have a professional soccer team coming in. So I'm not gonna spoil it too much, yeah. So definitely, keep an eye out for that. Be there or be square. Yeah, have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And Daniela Acosta, if you're able to send again that your at for that page you had mentioned to help people applying to college, so I can include in the email. There we go. Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.